We're ready here now to sew the circles onto our squares, and I'm going to do a small zigzag stitch on this one. I've got my machine set up with navy blue thread, the same colour as my circles. I've put my embroidery foot on so that an open-toed foot is good, so that you can see where you're going. And I've got the zigzag stitch on number 2 width and number 1.5 length. So let's make sure I've done that. 2 width and 1.5 length. So you want to keep it nice and slow and steady, and turn it as you go, using both hands to keep your fabric nice and flat. I like to use my seam ripper. If you come across any little points on your circle while you're sewing, then a nice long handled pin or your seam ripper is a good tool to have in your hand. I'm using a 50 weight ordinary thread. You can use monofilament nylon thread if you want to, and then you don't see your stitches at all. But I'm using cotton. I usually piece with a size 12 80 needle, and if I'm going through multi-layers then I'll use a 14 or a 90. And there we have it. So if you've just gone over your original stitches, then you don't need to cast off. We'll take the pins out and we'll take it back over here. And lay it down with the others, which I've already done. So we're going to put the blocks together now. So I'm going to put that one over there. Always start by matching your seams. If you've got any seams, then start by matching them. You match up each end first, and then, as I was saying before, just give it a little stretch and make it fit. We call it fabric manipulation when we make things fit. But when you're working with bias edges, they can be very wobbly. Don't worry about how many pins you have to use. So now I'm going to sew those 2 blocks together, and I'm just going to quickly change my thread because I've got navy in there and I want to go back to grey, so I will just quickly change them over. while I'm doing that, would you like to close in on the big quilt, and I'll talk a little bit about quilting. As I said, I hand quilted this big one. The background I actually drew out with the template. It's the wine glass pattern. The secondary pattern, the dark strip, I did with straight line quilting, and then each individual circle is Celtic patterns, circular patterns, which I did with I used a 14-inch embroidery hoop, because I did in fact put it all together and quilt it as one piece. It's the last time I did that because it was so big. Since then I've always done quilt as you go. Okay, I'm ready. Oh, I think I'm ready. There we go. Okay, so we're going to sew these two blocks together. Oh, I've still got my embroidery foot on. There we go. Oh, the best laid plans. More haste, less speed. That's better. Okay, try again. Okay, now we're going to press the seam open. Lay it back on the board. So now we've got these two joined and these two joined. We flip one over onto the other one, and once again we're going to join the seam, the centre seam first. So match up that seam. In goes your pin. Then match each end, the two corner seams. And the same the other end. And then in the middle, in between, just giving them a little tiny tug, just to make sure they both fit. And then we're going to sew that seam as well. take care as you go over the seam, so make sure your seam allowances are flat. There we are. I like to snip off my threads. Keep it nice and neat. Press these seams open. Flip it over the front, do the same on the front, and there we have it. While we have the back, you can, if you want to, if you've sewn it by machine, you can cut the back of this circle out if you want to. Because you've sewn it by machine, you will have a strong enough cross section of the seam here. And if you want to get rid of a bit of bulk, if you were making a quilt and you wanted to get rid of some of this bulk at the back here, you have to be very careful, obviously, and pull it apart like that and give that a snip, and then put your scissors in and cut round. But I would not advise doing that if you sew by hand, because the seams are just not strong enough. I didn't do it with mine, but you can do it if you want to. Okay, so there we have the finished product. This is the half square triangle with the 4 circles on it, and this one here is the quarter square triangle. So 2 cushion fronts. So now it just leaves the quilting. You can quilt it any way you want to. On this one, as I say, I did individual circles on here. I will do another workshop showing you how to construct a cushion, just in case there's anyone out there that's never made one. But for now, we have finished this workshop, and I do hope you've enjoyed it.